We try to explain to people that a soul tie or an ungodly bond can be either sexual or non-sexual. We're usually dealing with sexual soul ties, sexual past with someone. It doesn't even have to be intercourse. It can be some kind of intimate foreplay. It can be an inappropriate relationship. Non-sexually, it can be inappropriate relationship you have with your parents or a friend. So many times in marriage we see people coming into marriage with, they've never cut the apron strings from their parents. They're still going to their family of origin for affirmation, for direction, for some spouses will say, my wife or my husband talks more to his parents about something before he talks to me. Okay, those are all indications of soul ties, unhealthy bonds. So one of the first things we do is, if we're privileged enough to do the wedding together, Tim and I always call the parents up to the front, both parents, and we explain to them that up until this point, they've been connected. There's been a healthy tie with their parent-child relationship.
An authority structure in place,
authority structure.
And we'll ask specifically two things. It's funny because that couple last night, I explained this to them. They'd never heard about it. And by the end of the conversation, like, that's awesome. We need to do that. And we'll call up the brides, you know, mom and dad, and just ask them two things. Number one, will you release your daughter to this new authority structure that God has established, this mystery, this miracle of two becoming one? And we have them say yes. And then we say, and will you bless them? And I just think there's such a parental, almost like a patriarchal type of blessing that's imparted when they break that authority, that tie, if you will, and then they bless them to this new relationship. And likewise, we'll call the groom's folks up and say the same thing. And oftentimes it's not a public part of the ceremony, it's more private, and there'll be a song going on. And then I'll just pray a blessing over them, Anna will play a blessing over them. And it's amazing when we track the couples that do that, how they have less family relational conflicts that we would trace all back to what we would call an ungodly bond or a soul tie.
Well, maybe that would be the ideal way if we began at the wedding, but we often don't begin at the wedding. So we say to couples, you can do that right now, whether you've been married a year or 10 years or 20. I want you to take time now to be quiet, just quiet your spirit and ask the Lord, Lord, is there any unhealthy bonds that I have with people, either sexually or non-sexually? Wait and listen and ask if the Lord brings those people to mind. Then it's as simple as a salvation prayer. You merely quiet your spirit and say, Lord, I ask you to forgive me for any part that I played in an unhealthy sexual or non-sexual relationship. We encourage the people that just in the quietness of their heart before the Lord, to name that person before the Lord. Although you don't need to know their name, there's been people that have said, oh my gosh, I was in college and I had sexual relationships with so many people I don't even remember their name. Well, the Lord knows their name. But if you can, name them by name, ask the Lord to forgive you if you had a part to play in that. If it was an abusive relationship where somebody actually abused you and a soul tie formed, an unhealthy bond with somebody, we ask you to forgive that person. Ask the Lord to give you the strength to forgive them and to bless them and to release them and receive God's freedom and forgiveness. So it's as simple as a salvation prayer. You're merely bringing the person to mind. You're asking the Lord to forgive you or to forgive that person and to bless them and release them from your life. Break any soul ties, any connections. We think of our minds as a hard drive in a computer. And so just symbolically, I'm asking the Lord, Lord, would you erase any sexual memories, any unhealthy memories in my mind that would connect me to them, that would cause me to be one with them? Would you break that, and would you fully give my heart back to my husband so that when we're enjoying sex, that when we're involved in intimacy, whether it's sexual or non-sexual, we're fully devoted to one another.
Your passion that beats for Christ alone.